To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child. So says the famous quote of Marcus Tullius Cicero, the Roman politician, philosopher, and writer. In this episode, we continue to feed the eagerness for knowledge of history and our origins. Let's start by discussing the recent announcement of the discovery of new chambers and corridors in the Great Pyramid of Giza. Additionally, we'll delve into the conventional history of the pyramids and the Egyptian necropolis. The Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as the Cheops Pyramid or Khufu's Pyramid, is not only the largest of the Egyptian pyramids but also the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the only one that still stands. Historically, the construction of the Great Pyramid has been attributed to Khufu, a pharaoh of the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt, also known by his Greek name, Cheops. This attribution is based on what was written by authors of classical antiquity, such as Herodotus and Diodorus Siculus. However, during the Middle Ages, the construction of the pyramid was also attributed to other famous characters, such as Joseph from the biblical Genesis, Nimrod, one of Noah's grandsons also mentioned in the Bible, and the king of the Islamic Empire named Sorid. Archaeological studies estimate that the construction of the Great Pyramid was completed around 2570 BC. The Great Pyramid is the first and largest of the 3 Great Pyramids of the Giza Plateau, located on the outskirts of Cairo. It remained the tallest building on Earth for 3,800 years. The Great Pyramid of Egypt was first opened in the Middle Ages by the Caliph Al-Ma'mun, who commissioned a team to explore and discover many of the passageways and chambers that are known today. Since the end of 2018, a multidisciplinary research mission named Scan Pyramids has been using non-invasive methods, such as infrared thermography and muography, to investigate the pyramid. Muography is a type of X-ray that uses the penetrating capacity of some subatomic particles called muons to generate a 3-dimensional image of the interior of the pyramid by using the muons present in cosmic rays. The Scan Pyramid team has discovered a hidden void or chamber in the vicinity of the chevron or arrowhead-shaped blocks on the entrance to the north face. This void's existence had been assumed since 2016 based on previous measurements, and it has now been confirmed by scientists from the Technical University of Munich using ultrasound and endoscopy. The Egyptian pyramid status as one of the best researched structures in the world makes this discovery particularly important. Despite being thoroughly explored, the structure still holds many secrets to discover. As part of the International Scan Pyramids research team, the Munich scientists have solved yet another of the pyramid's mysteries. This void would be located above the original entrance to the pyramid, which is not accessible to the public. Professor Gross said, "Discovering a hollow space in a pyramid is already something special, but the fact that this chamber is big enough to fit several people, well, it makes the discovery even more important." Let's review this diagram. This is an east-west sectional view of the Great Pyramid and a frontal view of the chevron structure area on the north face, where we can see the underground chamber, the Queen Chamber, the Great Gallery, the King's Chamber, the descending corridor, the ascending corridor, the Al-Ma'mun corridor, the north face chevron area, Scan Pyramid's big void, with the horizontal assumption in red shading, and the inclined hypothesis green shading. The chamber has been discovered to be larger than what researchers had previously assumed. Although the original measurements pointed to a corridor of at least 5 meters in length, new estimates suggest that the chamber is considerably longer. There is no evidence of human activity or footprints inside the chamber, leading the research group to assume that the room has not been accessed by anyone for approximately 4,500 years. Egyptian authorities believe that the burial chamber of Pharaoh Cheops, containing both his mummy and the treasures he was buried with, could be located in the area. However, while the discovered chambers appear to be empty, there is a hypothesis that this chamber could be a hidden passageway into unexplored space inside the Great Pyramid. If this hypothesis is true, then the 9-meter chamber could serve as an initial corridor leading to a larger gallery that remains undiscovered. It is believed that this gallery could potentially house the mummy of Pharaoh Cheops and all his treasures. While this all sounds exciting, stories of tunnels and passageways beneath the archaeological sites of Egypt are not new. However, they have never been confirmed, investigated, or accepted by mainstream archaeology. Now, let's talk about ancient Egypt and its history implied. But before, I want to remind you that if you want to learn more about these fascinating topics, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, leave your comments and questions below, or suggest new topics that you would like us to explore. We appreciate your support and feedback, and we look forward to bringing you more exciting content in the future. So, what is all the buzz about? Is there a history implied about hidden passages in the Great Pyramid? Let's talk about it. As previously mentioned, there have always been stories and records alluding to the existence of an underground world beneath the pyramids, dating back thousands of years. These stories were documented by travelers, historians, and thinkers of ancient times. Pliny the Elder, a 1st century Roman historian, wrote about a tomb located beneath the Sphinx, which he described as the tomb of a ruler named Harmakhis and containing a great treasure. Another philosopher, a 4th century Syrian named Implied, described an entrance to an underworld through the body of the Sphinx. He stated that the entrance, now obstructed by sand and rubble, could still be traced between the front legs of the colossus. The entrance was previously closed by a bronze door whose secret spring could only be operated by magicians. The area was protected by public respect and religious fear, which kept its inviolability better than armed protection would have done. According to Implied, galleries were dug into the belly of the Sphinx leading to the subterranean part of the Great Pyramid. These galleries were so cleverly crisscrossed along their course towards the pyramid that, without a guide, one would incessantly and inevitably return to the starting point. In ancient Greece, it was well known that there was a hidden complex in the Hawara Pyramid, located about 60 miles from Giza, above and below ground known as the Labyrinth. Herodotus, the historian of the 5th century before Christ, described it as 12 regularly arranged palaces, which were connected to each other, interspersed with terraces, and arranged around 12 halls. He stated that it was hard to believe that they were the work of man, with walls covered in carved figures and each courtyard exquisitely built of white marble and surrounded by a colonnade. Near the corner where the maze ends, there is a 75-meter-high pyramid with large carved figures of animals on it and an underground passage through which one can enter. Herodotus was told that subterranean chambers and passages connected this pyramid with the pyramids of Memphis, and he believed this to be credible. Historian and geographer Masaudi also wrote about this underground world. In the 14th century, an Arab writer named Otilim Sani recorded the existence of underground passages under the pyramids in a manuscript still preserved in the British Museum. Ancient funerary texts allude to the existence of an underground world in the vicinity of the pyramids of Giza, as noted by British explorer Andrew Collins. In ancient times, the Giza plateau was called Rostau, which would be translated as the mouth of the passages or the gateway to the Juat, or the other world. All of that confirms that there is an underground complex under the pyramids at Giza. But what is there? And who built it? About 20 years ago, the NBC television network broadcast a documentary called The Mystery of the Sphinx, a very interesting documentary that even won an Emmy Award. The documentary was about geological and seismic surveys carried out around the Giza plateau by a team of Egyptologists led by John Anthony West. The surveys led to the discovery of something astonishing. The evidence presented in the documentary led them to conclude that the Sphinx was not 4,500 years old, as was commonly accepted, but that it dated from more than 10,000 years ago, a period when the Egyptian civilization, as it was known, was not yet born. Additionally, seismic surveys showed a large expanse of unexplored tunnels and chambers beneath the Sphinx, extending deep underground. After the documentary Mystery of the Sphinx aired, John Anthony West and his team were driven out of the area by Egypt's Chief Inspector of Antiquities, Dr. Zahi Hawass. Years later, Dr. West attempted to obtain a permit to resume exploration, but the Egyptian authorities denied his request. Zahi Hawass has obstructed us, Dr. West later said in an interview with the New York Times, adding to the rumors that Hawass was part of a group of Egyptologists that control research permits, suppress new information, and even hide possible finds about ancient Egypt that could be of great importance to the entire human race, according to a public petition. During those years, there were already reports of narrow inclined tunnels that seemed to point to the stars and that started the King's or Queen's Chamber. A team of researchers, led by German robotics engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink, sent a small camera-equipped robot down one of the previously unexplored 8x8-inch shafts inside the Great Pyramid. The robot reached what appears to be the end of the tunnel, which extended another 60 meters or so beyond the gate made of limestone or marble. To the team's surprise, the door seemed to have two handles or knobs made of a metal that resembled copper embedded in it. Since metal had never been found in the pyramid before, Gantenbrink and his team wondered if they were handles or something else entirely. However, the main intrigue was what was behind this door, since it was not the end of the tunnel, and the measurements indicated that there was still a considerable distance to reach the walls on the surface of the pyramid. Many expected that there would be a follow-up in which an attempt would be made to pierce the small door, but the Egyptian authorities said that the supposed door was a hoax and prohibited the team from exploring further. Even the director of the German Archaeological Institute in Cairo, Dr. Rainer Stadelmann, stated, "This is not a door, there is nothing behind it," joining strangely with the Egyptian authorities. All of this raises questions. Why would such important research into the pyramids be obstructed? What are the possible findings behind this area that could be of such importance to the entire human race? In my opinion, there is no doubt that beneath the Giza plateau, there exist spaces that hold a history predating ancient Egypt, and it is not just related to Egypt but to all of mankind. It's an inconvenient history that challenges accepted knowledge and stories. Some might argue that the discovery of hidden areas in Giza by John Anthony West and Rudolf Gantenbrink could give rise to doubts, which is understandable. However, several historical records speak of labyrinths, tombs, and chambers under Giza. As early as 300 BC, the Greek philosopher Crantor spoke of stone pillars lining the corridors below the pyramids, pillars that held records of prehistory chiseled into them. In the 4th century, the Roman historian Ammianus Marcellinus wrote about ancient knowledge recorded in the subterranean walls beneath the pyramids. He believed that they were designed to preserve this knowledge during the Great Flood. In the 10th century, the Arab historian and geographer al-Masaudi described these records as written accounts of wisdom and achievements in the different arts and sciences. He believed that they were hidden deep within the pyramids to remain as records for the benefit of those who might later understand them. Masaudi also stated, "I have seen things that one does not describe for fear of people doubting their intelligence, but still I have seen them." In the 1402, Christian Rosenkreuz, the founder of the Rosicrucian order, spoke of a secret underground chamber on the Giza plateau filled with books in a library containing ancient knowledge. In 1817, the British General Council in Egypt, Sir Henry Salt, in conjunction with an Italian explorer, Giovanni Caviglia, discovered a large tomb just to the west of the Great Pyramid. The tomb opened into a maze of subterranean passages. However, since these gentlemen were treasure hunters, they had no interest in historical or archaeological purposes. Therefore, they abandoned the exploration of the passages when they did not find any of the treasures they were seeking. If we assume that the existence of a storehouse of knowledge underneath the Giza plateau is still unconfirmed, why do Egyptian authorities deny its existence so vehemently? Could it be because acknowledging its existence would subvert their authority and lead to more investigations and explorations? In 1972, the authorities declared no one should pay attention to the absurd claims regarding the interior of the Great Pyramid or the alleged passageways and unexcavated temples and halls under the sand in the Pyramid District. Perhaps the secrets of the pyramids go beyond the mere existence of a hall of records. Consider the following. During their prime, the pyramids were covered by an outer layer of white tough limestone blocks that fit together so seamlessly that not even a razor blade could slip between them. The white tough limestone is unique for its insulating properties, as it contains no magnesium. This means that the facing stones would have functioned as a perfect insulator for whatever was inside the structure. Underneath that cover lies a different type of stone, a limestone pit whose mineral properties allow it to increase its electrical conductivity in direct proportion to the weight exerted on it. The passages inside the pyramids and their underground tunnels are lined with granite, one of the hardest stones on Earth, whose nearest source is more than 800 kilometers away in a place called Aswan. It is unfathomable that such a large quantity of granite, over 8,000 tons, would be transported so far for no specific purpose in the pyramids. As it turns out, granite is slightly radioactive and contains large amounts of quartz crystal, making it a conductor of piezoelectricity. More importantly, it has the property of ionizing the air surrounding it, thereby multiplying its electrical conductivity. All of this sounds more than interesting. And what if we add that the Giza Plateau sits on a system of underground rivers? Studies have shown that the Nile River once flowed right in front of the pyramids around 1,000 years ago. Is it possible that the pyramids were built to take advantage of the piezoelectricity generated by these river currents? A few years ago, an international research group published a study in the Journal of Applied Physics that showed the Great Pyramid could focus electromagnetic energy in its internal chambers as well as under its base. Here's the theory. Water from the underground rivers is channeled through the pyramid's underground tunnels, and by capillary action, it rises to the limestone structure. The pyramid structure creates an internal 3D field of harmonic vibrations and provides space for the energies to mix and flow. The apex of the pyramid creates a spin field within its center, and once the energy has entered, it deviates from the 5 identical angles and rays toward the center where a pillar of fused vibrations is produced. This allowed energy to be extracted from the earth and projected toward the sky through the top of the pyramid, which was made of gold and provided a path for electricity to be shot into the ionosphere. Does all of this sound familiar? Well, I would say that it's too similar to one of Tesla's inventions. In 1891, at a presentation at the American Institute of Electrical Engineers, Nikola Tesla came on stage holding an electric bulb in each hand that wasn't connected to any cables. The attendees were amazed to see the bulbs glowing brightly. In this way, Tesla introduced his latest invention, the wireless transmission of electricity, explaining that he achieved this by using air ionization and through 2 large pieces of metal on either side of the stage, while also stating his intention to augment this effect to work on a global scale. Indeed, Tesla continued to work on his invention, and after 5 years, he built a 16-meter tall tower called the Wardenclyffe Tower. In this way, Tesla believed that he could harness the energy stored within the Earth and transmit it through the ionosphere, providing the entire planet with unlimited free energy. He patented his invention as the art of transmitting electrical energy through the natural environment, an invention that he expected would change the game in the electricity business. However, J.P. Morgan, who was Tesla's financial backer, suddenly dropped him and the project collapsed, leaving Tesla in bankruptcy. An important detail to note here is that J.P. Morgan was one of the richest people in the world, whose fortune had been generated by financing the captains of oil and industry. These were the very companies that would be put out of business by a source of new, unlimited energy. Even worse, the energy would be free. It is clear that money often dictates what can and cannot be done for the benefit of humanity. Despite Nikola Tesla's enormous legacy, many of his projects and inventions have been forgotten or suppressed. One little-known fact about Tesla is that he was fascinated by the pyramids of Egypt throughout his life. He studied, wrote, and thought about them so much that some considered it an obsession. Interestingly, there is a Tesla patent that includes the design for a device of unlimited energy called Tesla's electromagnetic pyramid. It is not surprising that the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza seemed familiar to Tesla. There is a theory that the Egyptian pyramids were power-generating plants, and the many similarities between Tesla's unlimited energy plants and the construction of the Great Pyramid suggest that the Cheops Pyramid was built to be a power plant capable of projecting energy that could be harnessed in distant locations. The energy from the Great Pyramid was likely transmitted through obelisks made of granite and topped with quartz, which acted much like the antennae suggested by Tesla. These obelisks are found in Egypt, and they may have harnessed the energy conduit produced by the Great Pyramid. Considering all of this information, it is logical to conclude that the Great Pyramid is not simply a tomb, as conventional history and archaeology suggest of all pyramids. In fact, the Great Pyramid does not contain any of the things found in ancient Egyptian tombs. such as mummies, sarcophagi, or funerary treasures. Furthermore, all the tombs of the great pharaohs are located far from Giza, in the Valley of the Kings. According to the philosopher Jamblichus of Chalcis, he had an experience in the subterranean tunnels and chambers under Giza. He described entering a chamber that was automatically illuminated by a tin tube placed standing upright in the corner, with its height being the same as that of a man's reach. As they got closer to the tube, it got brighter. The slaves who were with them got scared and ran away. Jamblichus touched the tube, and it went out. Despite their attempts, they could not make the tube shine again. Jamblichus' story is not unique, and there have been other similar accounts. In the 9th century, the Egyptian governor Ahmed Ben Tulun described a glass cup found in a tunnel under the Great Pyramid. It held the same weight when empty as when filled with water. In 1930, Egyptologist Dr. Selim Hassan attempted to pump the water from the underground chambers under the Giza plateau. After 4 years of pumping, they found that the water level had not dropped at all. Another story comes from the late 19th century when the British inventor Sir William Siemens climbed to the top of the Great Pyramid. Upon reaching the summit, Siemens was alerted by a guide complaining of a shrill ringing in his ears every time they raised their hands with their fingers spread apart. When Siemens raised his hand, he felt a tingling sensation spread through it. Moments later, as he was about to take a sip of wine, he received an electric shock when his lips touched the bottle. Siemens moistened a piece of newspaper and wrapped it around the wine bottle to create a makeshift Leyden jar. He lifted this primitive capacitor over his head and watched in stunned silence as sparks of electricity shot through the air. When a frightened guide tried to wrest the bottle from Siemens, he pointed it at the man in self-defense. As he did so, the man was thrown backward to the ground and knocked unconscious. There are numerous details regarding the existence of the Great Pyramid that defy common historical explanations, such as its precise alignment with the stars, its location at the center of the Earth's mass, and its dimensions that make use of unknown mathematical constants until relatively recently. Undoubtedly, there is much to discuss when it comes to the history of the pyramid, the Sphinx, and the Egyptian necropolis. I invite you to analyze the information presented and form your own opinions about ancient Egypt and its intriguing history. As we peel back the layers of history, we find that what we once thought we knew was only the tip of the iceberg. The truth is always more fascinating than fiction. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the hidden history of our world. I hope that our exploration has left you with a new perspective and a deeper appreciation for the mysteries that surround us. Remember, history is not always what we have been told, and the truth may be stranger than we can imagine. Until next time, stay curious and keep searching for the hidden truths that lie just beneath the surface. In another
History Implied.